This content is intended for educational and awareness purposes only and does not replace actual legal advice from a certified mesothelioma lawyer. If you found this helpful, consider subscribing and sharing this with others who need legal clarity. A mesothelioma lawyer handles some of the most complex emotional and financially demanding cases in the American legal system, and that's exactly why they often charge millions for every case they take on. Mesothelioma is not just another illness. It is a devastating cancer caused by long-term exposure to asbestos, a deadly fiber once commonly used in construction shipyards, military bases, and manufacturing plants. Most victims of mesothelioma are exposed to asbestos through no fault of their own, and by the time symptoms appear decades later, the damage is already irreversible. A mesothelioma lawyer steps in to not only fight for justice, but to hold powerful companies responsible for knowingly putting human lives at risk. These companies often covered up the dangers of asbestos, hid critical safety data from workers, and even paid experts to downplay the long-term health risks. For a mesothelioma lawyer, building a solid case requires more than just filing paperwork. They must go back in time, review company records, medical files, occupational histories, and corporate memos, sometimes spanning over 40 years. They often work with teams of expert witnesses, including pathologists, oncologists, industrial hygienists, and historians, to establish a clear and legal link between the victim's condition and specific asbestos exposure. Every claim must be carefully structured to meet strict legal deadlines called statutes of limitation, which vary by state, and if missed, can permanently close the case. Winning these cases is never easy. That's why every mesothelioma lawyer typically works on a contingency fee basis, meaning they only get paid if they win the case. And when they win, they earn a percentage of the total compensation amount. This could range from 30 to 40% and may sound like a lot, but when a lawyer invests hundreds of hours of research, covers upfront legal costs, and takes on all the financial risk, those millions are not just a reward. They're a reflection of high-risk, high-impact legal service. The cases themselves are often massive in value because of the lifetime medical costs associated with mesothelioma, which include chemotherapy, radiation surgeries, and palliative care. Not to mention the income lost from early retirement and the emotional toll on the family. That's why juries often award multi-million-dollar verdicts, especially when they see clear evidence of corporate negligence or deliberate cover-ups. In fact, many mesothelioma lawyer cases have made headlines for record-breaking settlements. One case in California saw a former construction worker win $48 million after his mesothelioma lawyer proved the employer had ignored multiple asbestos safety warnings. A Navy veteran represented by a mesothelioma lawyer in Florida secured $34 million after exposure aboard military vessels, where manufacturers had failed to disclose the presence of asbestos. Another famous example is from Texas, where a refinery worker's family was awarded $50 million after internal emails were discovered showing the company knowingly exposed workers to asbestos for years without safety protocols. The mesothelioma lawyer leading that case became a symbol of what relentless legal investigation can achieve, and why their value goes far beyond just courtroom arguments. A mesothelioma lawyer not only deals with legal complexity, but also helps families during times of deep emotional stress, guiding them through depositions, court procedures, and settlement options, all while the victim is often undergoing aggressive medical treatment. Their work involves empathy, precision, and unmatched legal focus. That is why these lawyers are paid millions, not because they simply demand it, but because the fight they lead often rewrites lives and protects future generations from corporate harm. If you or someone you know has been affected by asbestos exposure, do not wait. Consult a licensed mesothelioma lawyer immediately because time is critical and only a specialized legal expert can guide you toward possible compensation. Justice and closure. Thank you for watching. This video was created solely for legal education awareness and support for those seeking real answers in difficult times. A mesothelioma lawyer's role begins with understanding the devastating impact this disease has on the victim and their families, which is unlike many other types of legal cases because it combines complex medical facts with intense emotional suffering. This cancer develops silently, often 20 to 50 years after asbestos exposure, which makes tracking down the source and responsible parties legally challenging and time-sensitive. In many cases, victims have worked in industries where asbestos was widespread, such as shipbuilding, automotive manufacturing, mining, and construction, and the companies involved frequently had decades of internal knowledge about asbestos dangers, yet failed to warn workers or provide adequate protection. Because of this blatant negligence, mesothelioma lawsuits are not just about individual compensation, but also about corporate accountability and public safety. These lawyers spend countless hours gathering evidence from government archives, corporate documents, and testimony from whistleblowers, which often reveals decades-long cover-ups and fraudulent behavior that had life-altering consequences for thousands of people. In fact, the financial stakes of these cases are often astronomical because they include not just compensation for medical bills and lost income, but also punitive damages meant to punish companies for egregious misconduct and deter future violations, which is one of the reasons these lawyers charge millions, as it reflects the complexity and significance of the cases they handle. Another reason for the high fees charged by mesothelioma lawyers is the enormous financial risk they take up front. Most work on a contingency basis, meaning they front the costs for investigation, expert witness fees, court filings, and trial preparation without any guarantee of payment. If the case is lost, the lawyer absorbs these costs, which can be hundreds of thousands or even millions of dollars in some large-scale cases. This financial gamble requires lawyers to carefully select cases with strong evidence and potential for high compensation, which in turn means the fees they earn when they do win must be proportionate to their investment and risk. Furthermore, these lawyers often coordinate with asbestos trust funds, which were established through bankruptcy settlements of companies that made asbestos products. This involves additional layers of legal complexity, because the lawyers must navigate strict claim filing procedures and deadlines, while simultaneously managing lawsuits against solvent defendants. The amount recovered from trusts can significantly boost compensation, but requires expert legal navigation, which again justifies the premium fees charged by seasoned mesothelioma attorneys. It's important to understand that the multi-million-dollar fees paid to mesothelioma lawyers are not simply a reflection of greed, but rather the value of specialized expertise and relentless advocacy. These cases often go to trial after years of preparation and involve large teams of legal and medical professionals. The lawyers must be able to translate complex scientific and medical information into compelling arguments that resonate with judges and juries. They also provide indispensable emotional support to clients and their families during some of the most difficult times of their lives. This dual role as legal advocate and compassionate guide requires a rare combination of skills and dedication, which commands a significant financial commitment from clients or their estates. Many former clients or families have publicly acknowledged that without these lawyers' tireless efforts, they would not have received the justice or financial security needed to cope with the devastating illness and loss. The resulting large verdicts and settlements not only compensate for past suffering, but also fund future medical research and help improve safety regulations, preventing similar tragedies in the future. The impact of landmark mesothelioma cases extends beyond individual compensation to influence public policy and workplace safety standards. For decades, these lawsuits forced regulatory agencies like OSHA and the EPA to impose stricter limits on asbestos exposure and improve worker protections. The visibility of high-profile cases also increased public awareness about the dangers of asbestos, which led to a decline in its use and better safety protocols in construction and manufacturing industries. Moreover, mesothelioma lawyers have often worked alongside advocacy groups to push for legislative changes and funding for research and treatment. This broader social impact further explains why the legal expertise required to pursue these cases commands millions in fees, as it is not just a legal battle, but a fight for systemic change and justice that benefits millions nationwide. In the end, every dollar paid to a mesothelioma lawyer represents an investment in accountability, justice, and hope for victims and their families, which is why these cases resonate so strongly in U.S. courts, and why lawyers who win them earn millions of dollars. If you or a loved one has been diagnosed with mesothelioma or exposed to asbestos, it is crucial to act quickly because of the strict legal deadlines and complexities involved. Only experienced mesothelioma lawyers understand the nuances of these cases and can guide you through the process of filing claims with asbestos trust funds and pursuing litigation against responsible companies. They will evaluate your exposure history, medical records, and employment background to build the strongest possible case while offering compassionate support throughout this difficult journey. Remember that while the legal fees may seem high, these lawyers operate on a contingency basis, meaning you pay nothing unless you win, and their millions in fees reflect the high stakes and high risks they manage on your behalf. Taking prompt action with the right legal team can make a life-changing difference for you and your family. Thank you for watching this comprehensive video aimed at shedding light on the complex reasons why every mesothelioma lawyer charges millions for cases that shook U.S. courts. This video was created to educate, support, and empower those affected by asbestos-related illness to seek justice and closure, knowing they are not alone in this fight.